Very good morning. Welcome all of you. We are going to have a brief discussion on attack of hostile forces. Attack of adverse forces, that is the topic of discussion for right now. We know where there is divinity there is stupidity. So with the pace you will be progressing towards divinity, with the same pace or with the same vigor and attack, these hostile forces or adverse forces, they will be attacking you, invading you. So as long as we are confined to a specific limit, as long as we have not overcome that limit, that point, till now, till that point, this adverse forces under their attack will be well comprehended, apprehended there. It will be there. You will be experiencing those. But thing is, when point comes when you will feel there will be no attack at all because you have crossed the limit, and they will feel, these forces will feel that they have got no use, no utility. They can't do anything there. So instead of wasting their time behind you, they will try to go forward. And moreover, as long as you are in the track of the divine path, so they will be following you with much vigor, much, of course, much speed and pace. That is inevitably we find most of the time. Again, we have plenty of examples. We have seen these demons. They will be much more interested to eat the child or disciples of the great saints, because these people, these children, these kids, they are developing amidst these great rishis in the track of the divine. Their entire being gets illumined. So they will be interested to swallow all these divine child, and they want to take, of course, possession. Finally, they want to swallow them. So, with this brief idea, we'll have the brief discussion from Mother. Now itself, we'll have only two or three lines I will quote from Sri Aurobindo on hostilities, hostiles. Sri Aurobindo, I can feel, I can quote only two messages from Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo quotes the suggestion of absolute secrecy. Somebody, most of the time, we feel we take the idea that absolute secrecy. The suggestion of absolute secrecy is often a trick of the astral powers. The suggestion of absolute secrecy is often a trick of the astral powers to prevent the seeking for enlightenment and succor, to prevent from seeking, to prevent the seeking for enlightenment and seeker. For that only some astral forces, this is their trick of the astral forces, to suggest some absolute secrecy. These astral powers, again I will quote, these astral powers and their secrecy and their tricks, while suggesting the absolute secrecy, that actually very much you can observe, that prevents the seeking for enlightenment and succor. Again, another brilliant message we can find here. Even in an unegoistic virtue or a divine good and love, even an virtue, but unegoistic virtue or a divine good and love entering the world awaken hostile reaction. So, because these on in the ground, on near the surface, these hostile people forces, they are very much active. They are very much confined to their own idea and ideology with their own activities. When this light, power, and of course illumination and this dazzlement coming from above, these they actually express hostility. So you can react, I can read it and quote it again. Even an unegoistic virtue but without ego, unegoistic virtue or a divine good and divine love entering the world awaken a hostile reaction, where these people, the people who are staying in the surface from age old, from the ages, maybe from years or from a long term time, where they are supposed to stay. For that, they create hostile attacks, hostile revolts you can find. And again, Sri Aurobindo is having a nice expression on adversary. The Asura and the Rakshasa hold this evolving earthly nature. Asura and the Rakshasa. They hold this evolving earthly nature and have to be met and conquered. Have to be met and conquered on their own terms in their long conquered fief and province. So Asura and Rakshasa, normally they hold the evolving earthly nature and have to be met scorn with scorn, tit for tat technology, met and conquered on their own terms in their long conquered fief and the province. That is the technique, that is the technique, and you have to meet them with the same pace, same ideas, ideology. So here, after reading these glorious explanations from Sri Aurobindo, we are going for the next step, that is attacks from adverse forces. We'll have a short discussion from short explanation from the mother. And mother quotes here: attacks from adverse forces are inevitable. Nothing to wonder, nothing to worry about. It is inevitable, because you know already in the initial statement I have stated, where there is divinity, there is stupidity. So in Savitri, two lines you must have heard. You have heard. An absolute supernatural darkness falls upon man sometimes when he draws near to the God. So when he draws near to the God, there you can find the hostile attacks. An absolute supernatural darkness falls upon man. It is not coming on the normal hour. It does not prevent you. It does not revolt or refuses. But when somebody draws near to the God, that time between God and you, an absolute supernatural darkness will fall upon man. That is concrete, that is true. And of course, another time also, Sri Aurobindo has quoted, love, a glory from the eternity sphere, have been abased, mocked, disfigured by these baser mites. Love came from the heavenly sphere here. After with all its glory from top, here it is actually debased, abased, or not in the original base, mocked. They have been mocked and deformed by the Besarmites. So mother quotes here, attacks from the adverse forces, it is actually, inevitable. You have to take them as tests on your way. So don't try to go away, because somebody going for college is taking the schooling, or going for education. So naturally test is inevitable. If you go away, run away from the test, naturally this promotion to the higher degree, higher class is impossible. So you take them as the tests on the way and go courageously through the ordeal. First one is the test and second one is ordeal. So you go courageously, don't get discouraged. You have to face the test, you have to take it by the test on the way and go courageously through the ordeal. Ordeal, it is not the ordinary path. And your mother quotes beautifully. That is, of course, it is the quotation from Sri Aurobindo. I will try to quote. Mm, to obtain a spiritual degree, it needs a lot of tests and exams. To obtain a spiritual degree, not the ordinary degree. Ordinary degree can be obtained within the age of 20 to 25. So many degrees you can obtain, and most it is the final one. So to obtain a spiritual degree, it needs a lots of tests and exams. But what people normally do, they are interested in bribing the examiner instead of facing the tests and exams. And here also, Sri Aurobindo has quoted ordeal, that courageously you have to brave it. The struggle may be hard, but when you come out of it, initially, there is a possibility the struggle will be a hard struggle. And when you are coming out of it, you are coming through, crossing through the struggle, or test and ordeal, you have gained something, you have advanced a step, not only when successfully you have overcome, you have come, maybe this is maybe hard. So when you come out of it, then you have achieved something, not the full, because this is not the last test, or you are not, this is not the probably the end ordeal you are passing through. So you have advanced step. There is even a necessity for the existence of this hostile forces. The mother course, there is also the necessity for existence. Without test and ordeal, you can't progress. Suppose somebody is class, you're continuing in plus two, is reading in plus two. He has to go for the plus three, or in he has to apply for engineering, medical, or any entrance test. For that, this to pass the plus 2 exam is necessary. So if you don't face the exam, you simply run away from the exam, naturally this plus 2 will be incomplete, and without passing the plus 2 or having the authentic degree of any certificate or any university or college, then it is not at all possible to enter or go into for the higher test. So it is a necessity of our existence of the hostile forces. They make your determination stronger, your aspiration clearer. Very interesting, very good, nice step. You must remember this nice example. They have got, they are necessity of existence, for the hostile forces. They make your determination stronger, your entire determination, they make them stronger, and your aspiration clearer. So then some other quotes again. It is true, however, that they exist because you gave them reason to exist. They exist because you gave them reason to exist. Just imagine how beautifully with proper clarification it has been written. They exist because you gave them reason to exist. So long as there is something in you which answers to them, you called them, you invited them, you looked at them, you expected them, so they came. So why unnecessary you are complaining? Before complaining, you must have thought of. So their intervention is perfectly legitimate. And if nothing in you responded, if there was no response from your side, why they would have come at all? There was no necessity. So if nothing you had in you responded, if they had no hold upon any part of your nature, they would retire and leave you. If there was no requirement, suppose you are sitting somewhere, and then somebody is coming and calling for the sale of his own goods, maybe vegetables or maybe fish or maybe some plastic or some horek mal like types and things, it is there. Suppose you don't want it, you don't look at them, you don't respond his call, why unnecessary he will waste your time, his time there? So simply he will pass back. Like this, these hostile forces, you just try to look at them, you just try to attract their attention, and they were interested to rush in, and they rushed in because it is your fault, it is not their fault. You have invited them, something was there inside you that they responded, that was the problem. In any case, they need not stop or hammer your spiritual progress. Okay, it is done, they have come, or any whatever is there, but thing is that it is a very clear message. It should not hamper your stop or hamper your spiritual progress. That is the great thing, it should not stop or hamper your spiritual progress in any case. When an attack comes to the wisest attitude, attack comes, it is there, inevitable, it has needs, it has need, it is coming, maybe definitely it is something in you that responded, but thing is that it must not stop or hamper your spiritual progress. Again, mother quotes, in any case, when an attack comes, when there is a attack from the adverse force, the wisest attitude is to consider that it comes from outside and say, so it is coming outside, let it go on that way. What should be our wordings? How we shall speak really? This is not myself, and I will have nothing to do with it. That is what. So this is not myself. Really, I don't need it, and I will have nothing to do with it. Absolutely, I have no job, nothing to do with it. You have to deal the same way when with all the lower impulses and the desires and all doubts and questionings in the mind whenever it is coming. So many times in many forms it is coming, lower impulses, you have to deal properly in the same way. I have nothing, I will have nothing to do with it. So it is not myself. That was the wording from you, version of your expression. And at that time, you will know they will be coming in different formats, different stages, different names. You have to deal with in the same way with all your lower impulses, desires, all doubts and questionings. Lower impulses, desires, all doubts and questionings are in the mind. So like this same wording, I will have nothing to do with them because it is not myself. You have to deal that way. If you identify yourself with them, then what problem comes? If you identified with them, the difficulty in fighting them become all the greater. See, to fight an enemy is good. It is easier than to find a friend who is in guise he is staying inside you. That is very difficult. So, mother courts, if you identified yourself with them, the difficulty in fighting becomes all the greater because it is with them with you and you are taking it as your friend. You are not seeing at all as the enemy. It is there inside. You don't think he's an it is an outsider. So the fighting gets greater and tougher. For then you have the feeling that you are facing never easy task of overcoming your nature. So that time you will find that you never so you are facing the never easy task of overcoming your own nature because it is well inside you with you. So it is not going to be a very easier fight for you. But once you are able to say, but you are once you are able to say, no, this is not myself. I will have nothing to do with it. Same thing, same thing. No, this is not myself, and I will have nothing to do with it. It will be much easier to disperse them because they will find absolutely no place, no ground for them to stand on. Where they will stand, and you when you have taken as them as your friend, as your insider, so as your kith and kin, your relative, very difficult to fight them. So you have to find them. You should not respond them. Even if they have got their necessity, you have to overcome them. Even if it is coming, you just say, I will have nothing to do with it. It is not myself. Then the battle will be easier for you. Instead of getting it is a hurdle or obstacle, you will overcome easily. Vande Mataram.